Welcome to another edition of Searching for Sparks. I'm your host, Tim Motzer. And tonight I'm happy to say we have the legendary Percy Jones on board to talk about a brand new live Brand X release. So won't you please welcome Percy Jones. Hi, Percy.
Hello, Tim. Thanks for inviting me on.
Such a pleasure. How you doing? Good to see you.
Bad. Hanging in. Yeah.
You look good, man.
Almost.
So some exciting news. I guess to start our chat is tell me about this brand new Brand X live recording. And when I say brand new, it's actually from 1977.
Yeah.
But first time being released, and it's called The Theory of Nothing.
Right. Well, I think altogether we did 7 or 8 records. And then on top of that, there were compilations that the record company released later on, that tons of bootlegs. But the drag was nobody was getting paid for anything, you know. So what happened in the last couple of years, well, 4 years, was there's a guy who lives in Paris, Sylvain Desprez, and he's been working on a film about Brand X for like the last several years. And he went to see Robin Lumley in England, and Rob Lumley was living on Dartmoor, which is sort of southwest UK, and he was helping Rob. Rob was apparently throwing out a lot of stuff, so Sylvain was helping him go through his stuff, and he finds some tapes, and one of them was an Ampex 2-track.
All right.
With nothing really written on the box, and Rob Lumley didn't know what it was. He couldn't remember where he got it, or which is not surprising because it was probably there for 40 years or more.
Yeah,
so,
decades.
Sylvain borrowed it, took it back to Paris, and went to the studio and played it. And he got in touch with me. He said, this stuff sounds really good. The band performance sounds good, and the audio is actually pretty good as well. So we thought, well, we could put this out as a record. So I worked on it and sort of remastered it. I spent quite a lot of time. It was an old tape, so there were dropouts here and there. It was at the crease.
Yeah.
But with a bit of work, it started sounding, actually quite good. So Sylvain did the artwork. That's what he's done all his life, is sort of artwork, And what he did was he did a sort of homage to Hypnosis.
Right.
The Moroccan Roll cover, which was done by Hypnosis. So you've got the guy, he's standing in a mosque and he's wiping, you've probably seen it. And I remembered back before the record came out, I had a meeting with Storm Thorgerson from Hypnosis. And I suggested to Storm, I said, can you put in some like universal numbers and geometric shapes like pi and the natural logarithm and whatever speed of light, or and he was, okay. So they went away and they did the cover, which was actually a great cover.
Yeah.
But instead of what I had in mind, he just put a few lines and roll a joint, which is cool. I liked it. And I spoke to Sylvain about this. I mentioned it, and he said, well, I'll try and do something like more along the lines of what you originally suggested. So he went to Tunisia and found the mosque where that original picture was taken.
Wow.
and he filmed some footage there because it's going to be part of in the film when it comes out. He also took that still shot of the guy, you know, except in his version, the guy's on an iPhone and he's got an iPad. And the Arab guys that are hanging around on the grounds, they've all got iPhones. And then, I mean, people will see it when it comes out, which will be soon. And then instead of storm sort of simple diagonal lines, there's a very elaborate sphere sort of in the sky with all Fibonacci curves. And it looks very nice. So
that sounds great.
Yeah. I'm very happy with it.
And I think it makes sense too, because it's a companion in a way because of the year 1977 and the tour for Moroccan Roll, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was sort of a good time, the band was being well received pretty much. We were touring. It was before the pressure set in later, not long after that. I mean, we started getting pressure from the management and pressure from the record company to make the music more commercial, I suppose. And that was when kind of, I sort of say, the rot set in, So it was a happy time. And it's sort of not, as I said earlier, that of all those records that are out there, we don't own any of them. We don't get any money from anything. So this is one record that we actually own. So anything that we make financially, it'll go to me, Goodsall's daughter, and Rob Lumley's estate.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Legally, the three owners of the band. Phil Collins, incidentally, was not an owner. I found this out fairly recently that he was signed to the band as a sideman. So that in 1980, when the band broke up and we got hit with a big debt, me and Goodsall, Phil just walked away from it. Which I found that out quite recently.
What kind of memories do you have of making the album Moroccan Roll?
Oh, it was insanity. I think we recorded that one I remember we mixed it at Morgan Studios. I think we recorded it at Triton, but we mixed it at Morgan.
Okay.
And we're in this control room one day, and I heard this muffled boom, and boom. And we didn't pay much attention to it. And then about 10 minutes later, a cop comes in with an old lady. And we're all wondering, like, what's going on here, So the old lady looks us up and down and she says to the cop, oh, these are all nice boys. They didn't do it. And so we're wondering what the hell happened, So we find out that Rob Lumley had taken a towel rail out of the bathroom, a chrome-plated steel tube.
Yeah.
And he packed it with, I think it was weed killer and sugar, and then hammered the ends down. And he lit it in the courtyard outside. Apparently, it took off like a rocket and flew down the courtyard, hit a garbage can, and then hopped over the wall into the next door neighbor's property, which was the old lady, and blew up. That was boom over there. And there's all sorts of crazy stuff. Dennis Mackay mixed it, engineered it. Really good at his job, really good. So he's working on a multi-track, and I had a marine gas horn. It's one of those, compressed gas things.
Yeah, like an air horn or something?
Yeah. And in front of the board, there was a couch, which you couldn't see from sitting at the board. So I went and sat there. And as he's playing a tune, same place. So he stopped. In those days, you had tape ops. You had a guy operating the 24 track. So Dennis was like a character from Wagon Train, like, stop. And the guy would stop. And he'd rewind it, play it again, and then I'd go, at the same place. So he's going through all the tracks one by one, trying to find which track that is on, you know. And a good 10 minutes went by of this nonsense. And then I stood up and went, and he goes, you bastard. So there was a lot of other shenanigans as well, but there was just two that I remember.
So, besides the pyromania and the jokesterisms, if that's a word, the album itself is incredible. I think it's a really well-recorded album. And how did you guys write that album? What was your process?
Well, the first record, Unorthodox Behavior, was everybody chipped in. Like it was a sort of group effort in terms of composition. Goodsall might have a section, and I might have a section. We sort of put these things together.
All right.
A lot of it was just cobbled together like that.
All right.
As we sort of progressed to Moroccan Roll, we were starting to get into writing complete pieces, individually. So that continued in the later records. So it was that point where, we were starting to compose individually.
Mm-hmm.
Dennis Mackay engineered it, and he had a specific style. On Orthodox Behavior, he would record the bass so hot, Fender bass. He'd record it so hot that the tape would be saturating, and you get that little bit of second harmonic distortion.
Wow.
Because you'd see the VU meter pegging, and I was saying, "Shit, Dennis, you're gonna break the meter," And a Trident, they in line with the speakers, they had light bulbs to protect the speakers.
Oh yeah.
If the current got too high, the bulb would light up and increase the resistance. It would pull down the current, protect the speaker. So you see those things flickering all the time. We were mixing, and they were really good with drum sounds. I mean, they would spend a whole day just doing the drums, miking, and then using a lot of key pexes on the drum to isolate.
Like key pecks are like gates, right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I probably don't. I don't know. Are they still around, key pecks? I don't know.
I don't know. I think everything's. I mean, they may be. I don't really know about the hardware, but I know in the software.
Analog gates, yeah.
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 I saw some pictures of Phil's kit during that session, and I can't remember where I saw it. It might have been online, but that was a lot of close miking techniques happening back then, which was a newer thing, I think, right, for production.
Yeah. Probably, yeah. I mean, he would go in a day before the rest of the band to get the drum sound. And I used to Fender Precision on Orthodox and Moroccan Roll.
Wow.
And he used to have to tape a wire from the bridge to a mic stand, because every time I took my hands off the strings and then touched them again, you get a click, static discharge. So if I had to go to the bathroom, I'd have to unhook this ground wire all the time. So, I don't know if that used to happen to other bass players, but it used to happen to me for some reason. Static problem.
Grounding. And this was in Trident. Were you all in the same room recording, or were there isolation booths? Or
the drums were semi-isolated with baffles. And,
okay,
it's just one room.
mm-hmm.
Baffles and what do you call it? Shields, so
Yeah.
isolated somewhat. And I like working like that, real time. The drummer's right there, reacting to what he's doing. He's reacting to what you're doing. As opposed, years later, it was, doing recording sessions, you're quite often overdubbing over a drum track. So you don't get that chemistry. So I'm kind of old school still.
Yeah, I still think that's the best way, especially if you're really a band, to just play live, right? And record that way.
Yeah.
After you recorded like the basic sessions, did you guys do overdubs as well?
Some overdubs.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes fixing mistakes if they were really bad, sometimes there'd be mistakes and we would just leave it because it wasn't bad enough to ruin the music. In fact, sometimes a mistake actually embellishes the music, funny enough. So, you don't, just in my opinion, you don't always have to get rid of a mistake.
Unless it's a train wreck.
Unless it's a train wreck. Yeah. We had a few of those too.
And then you guys, you had mentioned Hypnosis, but in the production of your albums, you had Dennis Mackay and you had Hypnosis, who were making these amazing covers for you. And not every band had, such a great art design company working with them,
Well, I think with us, we were kind of low on the scale. I think they were putting most of their energy into like Pink Floyd, but they did great covers for them. So they probably didn't spend as much time with Brand X as they would with say Pink Floyd or Zeppelin. But still, they came up with great stuff. They totally have their own thing going on.
Yeah, I think all those covers are pretty iconic. Once you see them, you remember them.
Yeah, they really jump out at you.
So after that album was finished and released, then you guys went out on the road, and that's where this new live album comes from that tour, right?
Yeah, we were doing stuff from Moroccan Roll, but also we started doing some stuff that appeared on Masks.
Oh,
we started playing a couple of tunes that later came out on Masks. Can't remember now what's on there. I remember Earth Dance by Pert. Access to Data by Goodsall.
Yeah.
On there.
What album is Deadly Nightshade from?
Livestock, I think.
Oh, okay.
Kenwood, that was co-written with John and Kenwood Dennard.
Okay. And where is this live recording from, Percy?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Some of it could be Chicago. It's all from like a short period of time.
Okay.
Like the Midwest or the East Coast, but I don't know specifically where and specifically when. And like I said, there's nothing on the tape box. nothing at all. So
So it's a U.S. tour though in '77.
oh, it's definitely the US tour, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was definitely 77. So at least we know that much.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there'll have to be some detectives when they listen to this recording, try to figure out. There'll probably be
Yeah.
some fans that can tell you eventually.
Yeah.
That's cool. I
Pardon me?
really look forward to hearing this record. I'm very very interested in hearing it because I know '77 was kind of, you guys were in peak form, you know, as a band, and it was kind of special because you had Morris Pert playing with you.
Yeah. We've been playing a lot, so the band was sort of well lubricated, so to speak.
Yeah.
Morris had joined, and I mean, he was a character. On gigs, I was always boxed in between him and Kenwood, and quite often I'd get a flam on the back of my head. You know, he's playing the back of my head. Just be a quick, you know. Yeah, he was wild. I really got on well with him. Like, we were the same age, pretty much. We were both from the provinces. You know, he was from Scotland, I was from Wales. We sort of had similar interests. Yeah. Yeah, it was good. It was quite sad when he passed away, which was
Yeah.
some time ago. Yeah.
I was always curious how Morris ended up joining Brendas.
Well, he'd been doing a lot of sessions around London. I mean, he'd done sessions with Paul McCartney, and other bands. I can't remember the others, but he was very busy on that session scene. And Rob Lumley was doing a lot of work as a producer outside Brand X. So Rob Lumley had heard Morris on one of these sessions and recommended him for the band. So Morris came in and, you know, we played and everybody liked what he was doing. And he had a very quite extravagant rig, you know, with all sorts of things hanging on it here. Yeah, he was a force of work, you know, Morris.
He brought quite an amazing thing to your band, I feel.
Yeah.
You know, the orchestral percussion, really, you know.
Yeah.
And he was playing mallets as well.
He could play vibraphone and keyboards.
Okay.
He was quite a keyboard player, but he was classically trained. You know, he went to might have been the Royal Academy of Music. I'm not sure where he studied, but he was a trained musician. Not like me. I mean, I'm a total autodidact, you know. But despite that, we got on well. Sometimes I found this from experience. Sometimes if you're an autodidact like me, I mean, I thought a Major Triad was a Chinese gang. I didn't know. And then sometimes trying to work with someone who's got a degree in music or something, and sometimes it doesn't work, you know. But I never had that with Morris. You know, it's just a very natural relationship, and you know, we could do bass and percussion stuff. You know, I was quite comfortable playing with him.
Yeah, and you know, it's like Robin Lumley was a big part of that band, at least in the early days, up through that period, right to I guess around the '80s, maybe early '80s.
Yeah, it's a complicated story. The original band had 3 other members. There was another guitar player, Pete Bonus. There was a singer who played percussion as well, Phil Spinelli, and the drummer was John Dillon. And they had heard me and Rob Lumley playing somewhere and wanted us to join. Apparently, Goodsall had joined just days before we did. So they got signed to Island Records, which is kind of amazing. So we did a record for Island, and it was with vocals, and it was a bit like sort of average white bands type. And some of us didn't like it. We asked Chris Blackwell if we could do another one, and he agreed. So we recorded another one, all instrumental with a new drummer. And Pete Bonus, Phil Spinelli, and John Dillon left. Yeah. So we did this new record, all instrumental, and that was Unorthodox Behavior. And then we offered a gig to we were looking for a new drummer. We offered a gig to Bill Bruford, and he turned it down. And Danny Wilding, who was an A&R guy at Island, recommended this guy who plays with Genesis. I didn't really know who that was. Anyway, this guy comes out as Phil. He played, and we liked him, and he liked us, so we joined the band. But then he talked us into leaving Ireland and going to Charisma, Genesis's label, and being managed by Genesis's manager, Tony Smith. So we made that move. And carry on. And it was a couple of years later, we were doing a gig in London. I think it was at the Venue. And we were in the band room tuning up, warming up to play. And this older guy walks in. He's got wearing a jacket with a badge on it. And he's got this paperwork. And he comes up, he said, "Percy Jones?" I said, "Yeah." And he hands me this paperwork. And he goes to Goodsall. He gives, but it's the subpoenas.
Oh, man.
And this is like, I mean, if you can imagine, if you're getting ready to play a gig, you're trying to get, focused and get a subpoena. So it was Ireland suing us for that second record we did that had never been paid for. So Charisma never paid them. And I think it got sorted out. I mean, we never went to court. We never went to jail. I mean, I didn't hear any more about it, but some of the crazy stuff that goes on in the music business sometimes.
Yeah. So that's really interesting. I don't think I ever knew that. So the first record, the first recording of the instrumental version of Brand X became Unorthodox Behavior, but it was recorded under Island Records. And then that master went to Charisma. Is that how it went? Or did you record a new album with Charisma?
I'm actually not sure. I know Island had built up a hefty bill because they had us rehearsing at Island for quite some time, and they were paying us like a retainer, So they spent some money on us, no question. So I actually can't remember whether Unorthodox was recorded for Island or for Charisma, but we definitely did it at Trident.
Okay.
I'm glad you brought it up. I have to find out. This is 40-something years ago. And it's hard to remember that.
Who can remember these things? But no, it's kind of like detective work. It's kind of like how did that actually come to be? Where did those masters go? I mean, if it didn't go to Charisma, then there's a recording somewhere that Island has, but it probably went to Charisma, I would imagine.
You mean the first record?
Yeah, I mean the instrumental one that you did.
Oh yeah, the very first record had vocals, and it was quite a different style. And
but that one didn't come out, right?
No.
Yeah,
we didn't want it to come out. Well, some of the guys did. I mean, John Dillon, the original drummer, who was actually a very good drummer. Like, he could hold a groove, a very steady, good time.
Yeah.
I mean, he was quite happy with it. But then some of the rest of us, we were listening to more of the fusion stuff that was coming out of this country, like what Miles Davis was doing, and Mahavishnu Orchestra. And we wanted to do something more like that, you know. And
were you guys listening to Weather Report as well, would you say?
Yeah, when I lived in London, I used to quite often go to Ronnie Scott's, quite frequently. And I remember going in there one night, not knowing who was playing. You know, I've been working at Trident, which is, you know, a 5-minute walk away from there. I just went in there, and these guys came out, and I recognized Joe Zawinul and Wayne Shorter. I mean, I recognized that. I didn't know who the others were. And I thought, well, I wonder what this. When they started playing it, it was wow. It was very fresh sounding music. You know, got my attention right away.
Hmm.
And Miroslav Vitus's playing bass, who I like very much. I like his playing.
Oh, that was the first generation Weather Report.
Yeah, Eric Kravaz was a drummer, and they had a percussion player. There's Don Romeo, I think.
Yeah.
There's, yeah, I guess the original Weather Report lineup.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very fresh sounding at that time. You know.
It's pretty interesting. I had some friends over recently, and we put on the first Weather Report studio album. I think some of it might be live. I'm not sure about that, but that album is still amazing. It still holds.
Sing the Body Electric?
No, it's the one before that. I think it's just called Weather Report.
Okay.
And then the one you're talking about is the second one. And some of that was called from live in Japan or live in Tokyo.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have the record, so I'm not, you know, I can't remember which is which. But Miroslav was quite highly amplified. I'd never heard an upright bass sound so loud. I mean, it was like the volume of an electric bass. And I've always loved the sound of an upright anyway, so
yeah,
kind of exciting to hear that.
I almost feel like he was using some effects with his upright. Was he? Do you remember that? Like a wah-wah pedal or anything?
Yeah, I think he had a wah-wah pedal, yeah.
On his upright?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty amazing.
It was good stuff.
Yeah, so right around that time, music was really starting to change, and there was a lot of amazing instrumental jazz flipping, you know, moving from Miles, and, you know, a lot of musicians coming out of Miles' bands, even Herbie Hancock, too.
Yeah, there you go. Is another one. Yeah. With Mike Clark, who later played with us, you know.
Yeah.
Great rhythm section, Mike Clark and Paul Jackson. So yeah, there was just a few years there where it was a nice scene, and then I remember that the British press then started getting kind of hostile towards us, and punk was just started, you know. And I remember we played at the Nebworth Festival. I think when we were doing the Masks material, the review in the Melody Maker that said the band sounded like pebbles on a tin roof. That was the review that we got, you know. And I remember walking up Waldo Street one day, which is where Trident was located, and I walked past the Marquee, which is a club that we played at several times in the early days. And when I stuck my head in the door, it was jam-packed with people. And the band was like this, you know, like these 3-minute songs. And everybody was jumping up and down, and beer flying everywhere. And I thought, this is not for me, you know. So I didn't hang around. So the scene was changing, obviously.
Absolutely. And that would have been like 78 or 79.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh-huh.
definitely by 79. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I found it a little weird that the press hailed some of these punk guys as working class sort of heroes. I thought, well, we were working class too. Not that it matters. So it's just an observation.
That's a good observation. No one said that before that I know of,
Yeah.
you know. Wow. John Goodsall. Let's talk about him a little bit. You first met him when the first record for Island was coming together, I guess. Is that right?
Yeah. Up until 71, I was living in Liverpool and playing with a Liverpool band. And I moved to London, South London, Beckenham. And there's a few musicians living there, like Keith Tippett and his wife Julie lived there. And Rob Lumley. I got to know Rob Lumley amongst several other people. And I remember saying, we used to jam a lot, in the house we lived in. And he said one day, I'm going up to jam with these guys up at some rehearsal. You want to come up? So I went up there with him, and that's right. I met these guys, including Goodsall. And I remember this guy sitting on a stool with a Gibson SG and outrageous socks. He was wearing these outrageous multicolored socks. And that was my curly hair, That was my first impression of it.
He had an afro, didn't he?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
And then when I heard him play, we started jamming. And when I heard him play, it was like, oh, wow, this guy is good. The immediate impression of a good player.
Yeah.
So we spent a lot of time jamming and just improvising. I had an old Gretsch semi-acoustic hollow body bass, an extra long scale, fretted, and I'd really abused this bass, and I'd file the frets down on just under the top string, so it's sort of hybrid, fretted, fretless. And I had a day job working for a consulting engineer who specialized in vibration problems from explosives, blasted, demolition, or trains, vibration, all that stuff. So I had access to a lot of accelerometers, So I borrowed these things and put them on the bass with a preamp, like amplifying the body sound, I'd bow the bass with a wah-wah pedal. So there's all this stuff going on. And there was a guy that called Sheds, who was like a roadie, used to help us. And he said, Ireland's coming down. People from Ireland are going to check us out. And I was like, okay, thinking that nobody's going to sign what we're doing, Yeah, they came down and they signed the band. But I was shocked. I was happy, but shocked. So then we kept playing, but we were able to rehearse in their studios. We did a lot of playing, and it was quite fruitful. We started developing stuff, and then we did that first record, as I mentioned earlier, that we didn't like. Most of us didn't like.
Yeah.
So it's a complicated story, but that's pretty much what happened. I think it's a long time ago.
Yeah, I some of my teenage memories of finding out about Brand X was I was at a party in Ohio, of all places, Hamilton, Ohio, and someone was playing Unorthodox Behavior. I think we were playing pool, and I'm like, wow, what is this? Because at the time, I think I was listening to Mahavishnu. I was probably listening to Weather Report, John McLaughlin, stuff like that. And it was right up my alley, And I think Livestock was already out, because that was the first album I bought, was Livestock. And I just remember being a guitar player, I was so blown out by John's playing. Well, I was blown out by the whole thing, but I was paying attention to what he was doing. And some of the sounds that he was dealing with, I thought were, a very extremely inventive. And he was dealing with echo and, delays and Ottawas and things like that, and different kinds of sounds that you didn't hear anybody else doing at that time.
Yeah, I remember back then he was using a wah-wah, I don't know what type, and a space echo, rolling space echo.
Okay, yeah.
And you get all this, all that. And there's a lot of that on this record.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same period, right?
Like, wow.
Lots of trails of notes,
Yeah.
And, that was kind of in some albums back then, but I guess, I'm trying to think of some other albums. I think Zawinul and Herbie, probably everybody was finding the Echoplex in those days.
Yeah.
So I guess that makes sense that he would have had tape delay, and now it's very common, but back then not so common.
Yeah. The space echo, was a huge tape loop.
Yeah.
I mean, I was always like amazed how long the things lasted before the heads wore out or the tape fell apart.
Yeah. It's like being on the road with a tape recorder. It's a pretty fragile piece of gear. And when we think about the gear we have now, and like the amazing pedals that are really microprocessors or mini computers, it's pretty crazy.
I mean, back then I used to build my own effects,
oh, wow.
And they were in two 19-inch racks. I mean, really big. And for the flanger, I used an analog shift register as a delay line. And they had just come out. I think Fairchild had come out with a chip. It was quite expensive. I paid about 70 quid just for this one chip,
Wow.
And it was noisy. And as it warmed up, as the temperature rose, the dynamic range would reduce. So you could start off with a level that didn't clip, and then as it warmed up, you hear it start to clip. So I had to put a Peltier cooler on it with a fan. And the delay would sweep from about half a millisecond up to about 30. 30 was sort of maximum. And, you could either sweep it with a sine wave, or there's another circuit which sets the pitch of the bass note. So low notes would swing it, the delay longer than short notes, And you'd hear it, like, as the delay increased, you hear the noise level go up. So you get that from it. And I don't know how I got away with all that amount of noise, I mean, they would gate it and all that stuff. Because there was hardly any digital stuff then. Maybe Eventide was just starting to come out with delay lines and harmonizers and so on. But
yeah.
I mean, now, an Eventide H9 does, which is this big, does everything, does things to. Although I have to say, there's certain qualities about some analog effects that you can't get with a digital, with a microprocessor.
I think that's really true. Yeah. The digital does have a particular sound.
Yeah. Like a filter. I can't, the Eventide does a nice nice job, like a mountain, but it's not as vocal sounding as the one I made back in the 70s. I'm tempted to make it again, actually build it again.
Percy, I think you need to make it again.
And it would be quieter because the integrated circuits are much quieter than they were back then. So much.
Well, a lot of people that are watching this probably, well, unless they know you, they probably don't know that you have an electrical engineering background. That's correct, right?
Yeah, I studied electronic engineering. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what do you think about making a wah box?
Yeah. Well, it was a good combination of that and I had a phase 9 MXR phase 90. Was it 100? It got stolen eventually. I can't remember which one it was, but it was a very nice phaser. So the combination of the filter and the phaser was very nice. So I might try and put the two together again.
That would be really cool.
And I could make it a lot smaller than the original.
Yeah.
Quieter. So yeah, that's something I might.
Percy, I bet a lot of people would be interested in that box from you, for sure. Yeah.
So I just built this recently. I can transmit patch changes to the H9.
Can you hold it closer to the camera?
So.
Oh, wow.
It's a prototype, so it's kind of clumsy, but this fits onto the bridge as a ground, and then this goes to a plate near my thumb wrist. So it sends expression. So you can see the intensity of the light changing.
It'll send expression to what, the H9?
H9. So turning the knob changes the patch.
Oh, wow.
And this, it's controlled by your thumb, sends expression. So it's a work in progress. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to work. I'll probably try it out next time we play. And it might be a complete unmitigated disaster. I don't know. We'll see. Find out the hard way.
No, but you wanted to have that because it's like the H9 sits behind you or something, right? It's not really.
Well, I've never been any good with my feet. I can't dance. If I try and operate pedals with my feet, I tend to fall over.
Oh, the expression pedals you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when we play, I just have the thing on, I sit on the amp and I just reach over and, use my hands on it. For this thing, I don't have to touch it at all.
Yeah, one of the things about the H9 is, it's not like it has some knobs. You have to press a button and then turn something, right?
Yeah.
Where if you had like a little controller with dedicated knobs, it would probably be easier to get some expression out of it, but with your hands.
A knob for each function, you mean?
Yeah, like a knob. I mean, they have it, but you have to go through.
You have to go through a menu.
Yeah, you can't get all at once. It's like one at a time, I think.
No, the original, there was a knob for the Q, or resonance, some people call it. There's a knob for dry versus wet,
Yeah, balance.
There was another one for
mix.
Attack. The envelope generator had attack and decay. And, you might have swing you wanted on the filter. You had all of that. All those functions had a knob,
Yeah.
You could pretty much really fine tune it.
I really like that, especially, in a live performance, that you can, dive in there and dial it in versus like having a preset.
Yeah.
And a preset is like, from night to night, that'll change really, I think.
Hmm.
a little, how it sounds from stage to stage or whatever. You might
Right.
want to tweak it a little bit. And on the fly, it's harder to do stuff on the fly. So I can see why you're trying to create something like that.
Yeah.
That's cool. So when you got these tapes, then you listened and ended up mastering them yourself.
Well, Savan, he borrowed the tape, but he took it to Paris. He went to a really it was a good studio, which I've actually been to and played it, listened to it, and had it digitized there. So Savan sent me 24-bit versions. So that's what I worked on. And, it was not an easy job because you have 2 tracks. You're limited to what you can do. Like there's one part where Morris is a cowbell or a woodblock. I can't remember. It's really loud, and I couldn't really. As an example, I couldn't really do much about it.
Yeah. So do you think this tape was from a radio broadcast?
It could have been.
Yeah, somebody had mentioned that to me.
I mean, it's probably from the board.
Yeah.
But you hear the audience as well. So I mean, it kind of there must have been tracks off the board, but where I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't even want to hazard a guess. It could be some of it might be Chicago. Or something might be Rochester. I'm not sure. So we just decided to call it Live 1977 rather than try and put a geographical name to it,
Yeah. So when will that actually be released? I mean, I think it's pre-orders now, right? For it?
Yeah, I think you said the end of August.
Oh, cool. Coming up. And this will be a double CD?
It's a double, yeah.
So it's a full concert.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, it's quite a lot of music. So apparently some people are asking about vinyl, but
Of course.
if it was vinyl, it would be 4 discs, so that wouldn't work. But maybe if there's enough demand, we could just make one vinyl disc, and I just get what I think is the best material and put it on a single disc.
Yeah.
So I think with vinyl, you got up to, after 23 minutes aside, they start lowering the pitch to grooves. You start losing dynamic range, and I wouldn't want to do that. I seem to remember 23 minutes was the sort of limit.
Yeah.
So 46 minutes of material. That could work. We're going to see if there's any demand while I'm doing that. Find out.
Absolutely. Yeah, a lot of people, want the vinyl, but ultimately, I still feel, the CD is still the best sounding, but vinyl's great. I love listening to the records, but it's the artwork and having the physical medium that's so big. It's great, and to read the liner notes and all that is much easier than the CD.
Yeah.
But
the vinyl, you got the square foot of stuff to look at. That was part of the thing,
that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with the digital downloads, I decided to hold off on that because the 2 guys that managed Brendas in the last version of it, they have a Bandcamp page selling downloads, CDs, and DVD, but they don't pay us. So, I want to get them off Bandcamp before we start selling downloads on there. So
No, I think that makes a lot of sense to me. Yeah, that's great. You know, one person we didn't talk about that's on this record is Kenwood Dennard, and Moroccan Roll is Phil playing the drum kit, and then I guess for the touring, what happened? Phil had to go work with Genesis and couldn't do tours.
yeah,
Okay.
like early on, we used to do quite a few like one-nighters around UK. You know, we go to Manchester or somewhere and do a gig, and then we started getting the opportunity to do like American tours, which we all wanted to do. And Phil would be unavailable, you know, because he's busy with Genesis. And I remember Phil saying to me once, he said, if you guys can hang on for a couple of years, I might leave Genesis and do Brand X all the time. But I was just like, you can't expect 4 guys to sit around for 2 years on a night, you know. So we started looking for other drummers. So I ended up, I called Alfonso Johnson in LA, who was playing with Weather Report, I think. And I asked him, do you know of any drummers over there that we can use? Because, we have an American tour coming up. And he said, there's this guy in New York who's very good, Kenwood Dennard, who gave me his phone number and everything. So I got hold of Kenwood, and Kenwood had played on Pat Martino's record, George's Lake, I think.
Yeah.
Good record. So they set up the tour, and I came over here, I think a couple of weeks ahead of the rest of the band, to work with Kenwood to try and teach him the material the best I could, you know. So I come to New York, and I got to Kennedy Airport, and someone was supposed to pick me up. And, you have these guys with signs with people's names on them. So I'm looking around. I don't see my name anywhere. The place is gradually emptying. And I was getting quite nervous. I'm here in New York, and nobody's picking me up. Yeah. So then I spot this guy. He's sitting down, and he's sort of sitting there like this. His sign is laying on the floor, and I took a look, and it says Paris Johnson. So I went over and I said to him, are you from Passport Records, any chance? He said, yeah. Are you Paris? I said, yeah, I'm Paris. Then they put me in the Chelsea Hotel. And I'd never heard of the Chelsea Hotel.
Wow, what a great story.
And they put me in this suite, which is, spacious. Then I noticed the bed is not clean. The sheets haven't been changed. So I call the desk, and the manager comes up. And I said, he said, do you know that they filmed an episode of Kojak in this very room? That's what he says to me. Like, and I think I said, well, that's very nice, but I need a clean bed. And so so that was pretty. I wasn't there very long, but I got the sense it was a crazy place.
Yeah.
I've never heard of the Chelsea Hotel.
You know about it now, though.
Now,
Yeah. Quite a history, and now it's been renovated and it's turned into like a fancy boutique hotel.
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
Yeah. But they still have a lot of the stuff in there, the paintings, and I still think that there's some former tenants still living in there.
Really? Wow. Well, I haven't been in there since, that 1 or 2 nights that I stayed there.
Yeah, pop by there sometime and have a drink at the bar. It's pretty interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
That place still has the resonance, There's you're still, you can feel the vibe in there.
Yeah, the ghosts of
Yeah. Speaking of ghosts, we have a few gigs coming up, and the reason I say that is one of the gigs we're playing in October is in Hudson Falls. And Jonathan, the owner of the Strand Theater, said that the ghosts are looking forward to seeing you, Percy.
I still write it, yeah. Yeah, there's the Hudson Falls. There's another place in upstate New York.
Well, we stayed at a crazy hotel near the recording studio one time that was like, you called it the Bates Motel. And we were up in like Woodstock or, Scott Petito's studio.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay.
And that hotel up the road from him.
Oh, okay. I've never stayed at that one.
Oh, you did stay there. We all stayed there.
Did we? Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't pick up on that one.
Yeah. And you called it the Bates Motel when we pulled in. And you probably forgot about it, but I had a ghost in my room that night.
Whoa. And Flagstaff. Didn't you say that hotel, what was it called? The Vista?
I forget the name.
I think you said you stayed there.
We went there after our gig.
Okay. Me and Kenny stayed there.
Yeah.
And because we did a gig, this is the Brand X. After the gig, we went back there and I spent a bit of time at the bar, had a couple of drinks, and was talking to a woman there. I think she was Irish. I don't know what she was doing of it. I said, okay, nice to meet you. I'm going to go to bed. And she said, look out for the woman in white. I said, okay. So it was definitely creepy. And there's a line about it. The room that they mentioned that's especially active was 300 and something. I can't remember. That's the one me and Kenny stayed in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
No, when we were there, and this was just a few months back, they told us that the place is absolutely haunted.
Yeah.
And it's a very cool hotel. It's a really amazing vibe.
Yeah.
But a lot of chi in there, I guess,
Yeah.
There might have been a murder in there or something. That's what I think I recall. Something like that happened.
Yeah, I read up on it. I found something online, some history. It's up there. There was some kind of violence.
Yeah. Wild. So we have some August dates that we were just starting to announce, and I'm excited for PKT to come back out and play a little bit.
So it's August the 8th at down the road from your place, right? Johnny Brendan's. Is that
That's August 8th. We're playing actually in the Turning Point.
Oh, Piedmont. I'm sorry.
In Piemont. And that's a Saturday night. And then Sunday we come and play Johnny Brendas in Philly.
Right.
And that's going to be with Julie Slick also.
And then the 11th. The 11th is at the bitter end, right?
The 11th at the bitter end. And we're opening that show that night at 8:00. So we'll be on early. So we got to make sure everybody knows that.
Okay.
And that's going to be fun. And then we're working on dates in October right now. We have a couple things and a couple more things in December. So I think that's kind of exciting for us for sure, but also fans of yours and ours.
Yeah.
Cool. So that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Theory of Nothing, Brand X, Live 77, remastered. Percy Jones, Robin Lumley, Morris Pert, Kenwood Dennard, and John Goodsall.
Yeah.
And that's coming out this August. And where do people find that? Is that on a specific Bandcamp site?
Yeah, Moonjune.
Moonjune.
Distributing it. Yeah.
Okay.
So, Bandcamp.
Great. Well, I know everybody's looking forward to that.
Yeah, I hope people like it. Yeah. I mean, I've heard some of these bootlegs that are out there, and this definitely sounds better than that stuff, at least. So, and likelihood there's some stuff that nobody's heard before. As I said, I don't remember where specific tunes came from, but I think there's some stuff there that's been buried, nobody's heard since it was played,
It's a
So
good,
I'm optimistic.
yeah, me too. It's a good time to release it, and I think people will definitely want to pick that up.
It's nice to actually own it for a change.
Yeah, Percy, great hanging, man,
Yeah, thanks for having me.
as always.
All right,
Yeah,
we'll get together in a couple of weeks and
yeah.
make some movies. Yeah.
We'll see you soon, and thanks for being a part of Searching for Sparks tonight. And
All right, my pleasure. Thank you.
we'll see you very soon.
Okay, all right. Cheers, Tim. All right.